Hello there, I'm Leo Water for Kit Guru, and this case is the Aerocool Aero 800. As you can see, our sample came in blue, and it is a very blue indeed. Also available in grey, white or black. I haven't seen the grey, white or black, I can't tell what the colours are like. This blue is a kind of... we've seen blue from Aerocool before, which is sort of a powder blue on plastic. This is much more of a painted, like car finish kind of blue. It's vivid, it's in your face, and when it turned up, I wasn't actually sure whether I liked it or not. It's grown on me. The blue I like. I think I like it because it's different. I'm hoping that is also true of the white and black, and which you'd think were white and black. Grey, there are many greys. There's gunmetal grey, and there's sort of more interesting sort of graphite-y greys. I want to see the grey before I pass judgment on it. The blue, I like. Anyway, I was thinking about this case, how am I going to review it, how am I going to approach it? There are a bunch of numbers around this case. The headline figure, however, is the price. This case costs, depending on your outlet, either £40 or £45, including VAT, which is absolutely as cheap as chips. So what do you get for that sort of money? I mean, I tried to do some sort of calculations working back, and I thought to myself, well, take off the VAT, it's £32, allow for some shipping. I mean, it's a box, look at the thing, it's a regular thing. It's got to come across the world from China. What does it leave the factory at? I don't know, £5, £10? It's got to be almost nothing, and yet here we are, it's a regular case. You think, well, in that case, it's going to offer you no features. Wrong. The headline things are, this particular model, if we turn to the front panel, that little blanky thing there on some other versions of this case will include a card reader. We don't get that. We do get two USB 3, two USB 2, headset jacks, and these sort of lever action removable optical drive blanks. Previously Aerocool has done some of these cases with some kind of really nasty silver. Apparently they've listened to reviewers' complaints about that, and they've gone for black, and it's all the better for it. Figures, so you can put two 3.5-inch drives in this, or three 2.5-inch drives. You can put a 280mm liquid cooler in the roof of the case. You can also at the front put a 120 or 240, depending on what you're up to. Graphics card up to 390mm, CPU cooler up to 155mm, so that is basically a tower that's got a 120 fan on it. Power supply up to 180mm. In other words, really conventional hardware. Now, I'm going to take a guess and suggest that people that are buying a £40 case aren't really going to go for the high end. It would be unreasonable to think they are, but you never know. Anyway, the build I've gone for here is actually quite a serious build. So let me, by the way, the window. I like the window. It's sort of smoked, so it's not that clear thing, which also means it's not reflecting like crazy. You can see that the GeForce GTX 980 graphics card that's installed, the green is glowing through. I chose the GTX 980 apart from the fact that let's go for a silly high-end gaming card. Slightly had a sense of perversity, actually, because I thought to myself, well, it's a blue case, and if we go for green, is that going to work? After all, the green for NVIDIA, red for AMD. It's a blue case, which I suppose you could think of as Intel, but no components are kind of blue in colour, are they? It works for me. So we've got inside this case, we've got the Deepcool Captain 240 liquid cooler. So there's a bit of a red glow going on. We've got the GTX 980 graphics card with green. We've got my AM3 Sabertooth motherboard from Asus. In the roof of the case, as I say, we've got that kind of Captain, which is under this magnetic dust filter. Down the bottom, we've got the Seasonic 520 watt fanless power supply. And it's running an AMD FX processor. It's a very serious gaming PC, actually. However, although the graphics card quite clearly is high-end, to my mind, going for AMD FX is sort of a nod to you're not really going to go and necessarily sticking a £500 or £800 Intel processor inside a 40 quid case, although you might. Let's just turn that off now you've seen inside and pull the power cord so I can turn it more easily. It's cheap, no two ways about it. So for example, the power supply cover is fixed. It's also very much flat and angled 90-degree thing there. One feature, and it's about the only feature I really didn't like about this case, is the front panel headers. As you can see, they really are tight. I mean, there's no space to install them behind the motherboard so they're neat and tidy. They've got to go from there to the bottom of your board, and that's all there is to it. You can see that there's not a massive amount of space. above and below the motherboard, that's fine. There are, however, some quite stealthy sorts of cable management holes. So actually building this PC is not a chore. Hiding the cables away, not especially difficult. And we appreciate that. Let's put that other side panel down. The two 3.5 inch drive bays are here. Illuminated fan at the front, regular fan at the rear. It's pleasingly quiet. I was quite surprised to see actually the optical drive bay is this sort of, it's not really a bay, it's like a bracket. The drive sits in it and screwed in place. Obviously ordinarily they kind of wrap around, which means you actually have a lot of space here. If you're not using an optical drive, it really opens up the case behind it without the need to remove the tinware, which is a neat touch. Pulling the front panel off is possible, however, it's a heck of a pull. It really was one of those, have I got some screws to release I haven't yet found, but no, it's just oof, and off you come. And the cables are attached to it, so that's all a bit of a chore they feed through. So once your PC's built, if you want to get in the front to get to the fans, it's not especially easy, but for 40 quid or 45 quid, we can make allowances all day long, not a problem. Cable tie, yeah, they've even given me plenty of cable tie down points. I mean, I think it's a perfectly tidy PC build, and the idea it's in a budget case is absolutely lovely. So power supply cover is fixed, the top cover is riveted in place. You can remove the front with a bit of a oof, and you can then install, you've got one 120 fan, you can install a second if you choose, or indeed you can go for a liquid cooler at the front, but why bother when the top is available for all the cooling that you want. Overall, yes, you've got the magnetic top filter, you've got a, it's in the photos actually, there is a filter on the bottom for your power supply as well. It covers all the basics, and even the steelwork. There are no grommets you see on the cable management holes here and so on. However, all the edges are rolled, which means that when I was building this, I didn't have any of those nasty ouchy cuts kinds of things going on. Even though it is very basic. The design is entirely sensible for building a basic case, and it punches above its weight. Overall, I was very happy with the PC build. I was surprisingly pleased by the features. I'm not sure what price I think this case may have gone for. 40 quid, 45 quid is obviously very cheap indeed. One thing I did have a problem with was this back plate for the CPU cooler. If you see here, we have these two little black clips which hold the studs in place that mount the cooler. If you notice here and here, there are no black clips. Turn to that. And the reason is that the plate splays and it's just tucked away behind the motherboard cutout. It's not quite big enough. Now, it is perfectly reasonable to say that if you're building a PC into a 40-45 quid case, you're using basic-ish components, you're not going to be getting into all this la-di-da liquid cooling and such like. And if that's fair play, I mean, that's an entirely reasonable thing to say. But I have, and there you go. So I cannot really say that that's a killer problem. It's a slight annoyance. Had I put the cooler on before I put the motherboard in the case, it wouldn't have been an issue in the slightest. And I think that, in fairness to Aerocool, is an astonishingly short list of complaints. So the front panel cables could be a little longer. It would be nice if the power supply cover came out, but that's not really an issue. The motherboard cutout is not exactly massive. But on the other hand, you look around the thing, oh look, my SSD slips into this little caddy here. Isn't that neat and tidy? Oh look, I can put hard drives in there. Power supply access, absolutely fine. Cable management, great. Styling, I mean, you can't really complain about it. The blue is fine. I did, when I was doing this build, have the odd little flake of blue paint here and there. But you can see the paint is all intact. The magnetic top filter isn't necessarily lying entirely flat. These are tiny complaints for a very cheap case. So Aerocool Aero 800, I think I built a system that is frankly way beyond your expectations for a piece, for a case of this price, but it shows it can be done, and I think it absolutely delivers the goods. So this is Leo Woodard for Kit Guru. This is the Aerocool Aero 800.